One.
Thank you. Would like to call the Committee on Higher Education to order. Today we have a joint hearing with the Committee on Water and Land. It is Tuesday, February 9th at Conference Room 229. Before we begin, I will make these announcements. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will include the following agendas: the 3 p.m. Higher Ed jointly with Water Land agenda and the 3:10 Higher Ed agenda. In the unlikely event we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Thursday or later today?
Thursday.
On Thursday. That is 3 p.m. and February 11th. And a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. For the people participating remotely, all testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. Testifiers will be limited to 2 minutes each. At the end of the 2 minutes, the audio will automatically be muted, so don't be surprised. I will be reading a list of people who will submit a testimony, written testimony for each measure. We apologize if the closed captioning does not accurately transcribe the names. If you're interested in reviewing the written testimony, please go to the legislature's website. You will find a link on the status page for the measure. If there are temporary technical glitches during your turn to testify, we may have to move on to the next person due to time constraints. We appreciate your understanding and remind you that the committee has your written testimony. And with that, I would like to go ahead and begin our first bill on Senate Bill 112. Again, this is jointly with the Committee on Waterland, Chair Lorraine Inoue. The committee members on the Higher Education Committee is myself, Donna Ricardo Kim as Chair, Vice Chair Michelle Kidani, members Senator Keith Agaran, Senator Glenn Mackay, and Senator Kurt Favela, who probably is viewing on remotely.
Okay.
For Waterland?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The Committee on Waterland is myself present here, including the presence of Senator Misalucha and Senator Reveal. We do have members, Vice Chair Keith Agaran and Senator Favela is on remote. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, Senate Bill 112 relating to university districts. This provides a framework that supports consistent land use planning and development across the University of Hawaii system and allows project partnerships with qualified persons. First person to testify? Sorry, 1224. I've got dyslexia. 1224. First testifier is Calvert Young from the University of Hawaii.
Good afternoon, Chairs. Calvert Young, Vice President, Budget and Finance for University of Hawaii. University has submitted testimony in support of the measure. Happy to, we can stand on our testimony. Happy to answer any questions. Also, Counselor Jesse Suki from the University and I will be available for any technical questions on the bill. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Justine Nihipali, Office of Planning. Justine.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'll stand on our testimony with comments and raising some concerns. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you. And we have Russell Suji, DLNR.
Good afternoon, Chair and Kim. Russell Suji for the department. We provided comments, just a friendly reminder that a number of the campuses may be under leases with the Board of Land and Energy Resources, not necessarily fee simple property.
I'm sorry, can you say they're on leases and what?
We have a number of leases on some campuses that would apply to campuses for the University of Hawaii system. For example, Hilo, KCC is on leases and stuff. So there are requirements in there for board review. But this is kind of reminding UH that the campuses are not all on fee simple lands. That's really the point.
Okay, thank you. We have late testimony from Dean Uchida from the City and County of Honolulu in opposition. Is Dean online? No? Okay, he's not, but we do have his testimony. Is there anyone else who's wishing to testify on this measure that may be on Zoom, who did not register? If not, okay, members, we are open to questions. Anybody has, any member have questions?
I have questions,
Okay.
Chair.
Chair Noe?
Yes, thank you. Calvert, you online, Calvert, and Russell as well. Calvert, tell us, because in the measure, you include the jurisdiction of the counties and the SMA requirements as well. Just out of curiosity, how many of the jurisdiction in the district is on water?
Yeah, so we believe there's actually, so this, first of all, this bill only applies to our campus proper lands and adjacent properties for the campuses. And our review believes there's only one campus, Maui College, that's within the SMA.
Okay. Within the district with planning, and I support this measure as well, but out of curiosity, if there's anything that you do on campus with regards to any renewable energy projects, so are you asking for exemptions from PUC or any other regulated divisions that oversee energy as well? Just out of curiosity. In the event that you develop any projects, or even with like HECO and other utility companies.
Yes, so we do have a number of campuses that have renewable, that have projects already on them that would be considered renewable energy projects, including Maui College. And we also have other projects that we are working with HECO and a number of private renewable energy contractors to develop on our property. They're not within the SMA. There's a number of renewable projects. This bill does not contemplate, we're not seeking exemption from any PUC or utility regulation requirements. It's already in the statute. This is purely about efficiency of or consistency of zoning and development in regards to zoning.
Okay, so having heard from DLNR and Russell saying that some of the campuses are on leased land, so when you do some of the developments, then you'll have to have the agreement as well. And Russell, when you talk about the leased lands, it's with state lands, yeah?
Yes.
On the DLNR jurisdiction?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So Calvert, then you will be conferring with DLNR on your plans as you proceed, advising and letting the DLNR land division know of your projects.
So this bill, we're not asking for any, to take away any landowner rights where the university doesn't own the fee simple interests. So we would still be subject to, the arrangements in leases, or, whether it's state-owned property or even if it were non-state-owned property.
Oh, okay, all right,
It's
as
still
long
be
as,
subject to, the lessor.
okay, all right. That's good to actually hear that as well. Any of the lands any of the campuses are in conservation district or a portion of the lands?
We don't believe that any of our campus proper lands are in conservation districts. However, the bill explicitly excludes conservation zone lands.
Okay, I see that. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Senator Keith Agaran?
So Calvert, can you explain exactly what you're trying to do then with the lands that fall under the SMA? I mean, I know you mentioned that only UH Maui College is within the county SMA boundaries, but wouldn't the Kaka'ako lands where Jabsam is on fall under Office of Planning?
Yeah, I would think so.
So what
Yeah,
exactly
Jabsam.
what is it that in 205A that you don't want applied in the review but at lead agencies of the proposed district?
Yeah, so actually, we're not targeting anything regarding the SMA. And frankly, even for Jabsam, what we're contemplating under the bill is campus proper lands. So this would be UH Manoa campus proper, not the Kaka'ako facilities.
Say that in the bill.
It doesn't quite say that though in the bill. Anyway, thank you, Chair.
Okay.
We would be amenable to if that needed to be clarified.
Okay, I have a number of questions, but Senator Revere. My mind went blank for a moment.
For Calvert, please. So the Office of Planning has a comment in there. It says this bill would set a precedent for state entities to avoid compliance with county land use policies, ordinances, and stuff. Shouldn't we be concerned about that, kind of stomping over the county planning and permitting processes?
Well, I would say it's somewhat precedential, except that there are already certain state agencies that already have similar preemptive over county entitlement. And so and admittedly, yeah, that's what the issue is. But there also is a number of varying. All the counties have differing entitlement processes and requirements, and some of them already have district zoning for university property.
What is
This
is this going to expedite redevelopment or construction, or I mean, how much time, or what can you give us examples of why it's so burdensome now that you just have to admit that process from the county?
I do believe that this will help streamline and provide some expediency or efficiency to the process. Much like, some of the other agencies that already have a preemptive over county zoning.
Cool.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Like who? Which other entities?
HCDA.
Okay, HCDAs, but it's a entirely huge operation that you're going to be taking that on at the university? Well, let me go back to the beginning of my questions. So what is it about this bill that you can't do right now that you need this bill to do?
There isn't any development project that the university couldn't do already. What the bill provides is eliminating or makes efficient that one step or the steps in the process for the varying developments between all of our campuses. So development of student housing varies between counties.
Okay.
The requirements for some counties that have university district zoning already versus others that do not. In the city and county of Honolulu, the surrogate for this university district zoning is actually the PRU process, which actually is probably unique compared to the other counties, and entails legislative the legislative process, so the city council process, as part of the development package. There is some streamlining that PRU provides versus just the conventional and traditional entitlement process. So the PRU process is an improvement over what would be, the basic entitlement process. So there is value in it, but it is inconsistent or unique compared to other counties.
But isn't that the whole thing, that each island have their own unique character, and therefore shouldn't that be taken into consideration? And each county has unique zoning, and I come from the city council, and there's such a thing as home rule. And I think each county is unique in that sense, and what works in Honolulu may not work for Maui, may not work for the Big Island or Kauai. And that's the whole reason why each county has their own zoning laws. And so now you're saying that the university is going to be the experts or have superpower to determine all of this?
I'm acknowledging the home rule aspect, yes.
So you feeling that the university should override all home rule?
I feel via the bill that I think for the university's purposes, to expedite what the university needs to do for development of its campuses, that would be more efficient through this bill.
Okay.
But I acknowledge all of the issues and concerns brought up by OP and the county planning departments.
Yeah, so you sort of compare this to HCDA, which is the only entity that overrides because it's a special district, but HCDA is an entity, as I mentioned earlier, and they have to deal with a lot of issues, have a lot of staff just dealing with this whole thing. So is that more costs that we're going to incur at the university?
I think the infrastructure to manage the process, yes, would require more resources than the university currently has.
Okay. Also on page 4, line 20, it says, after adoption of campus development plan, the Board of Regents shall establish health, safety, building, planning, zoning, and land use. And therefore, we're going to need more staff at the BOR as well, because they're not equipped to do that.
Possibly.
Of Atherton and the degree in which we're planning for Sinclair, and then also the West Oahu design and having had RCUH do that, it really raised concerns of whether or not the university can handle an overall multi-campus development when they have issues with just doing certain parcels.
Well, some of those projects, I would say, actually are actually slowed by having to go through the county entitlement process.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, with Atherton, with West Oahu, RCUH had a lot of, they are exempt from a number of procurement and so forth. And in Atherton, you folks started out with a different design and kept changing it and trying to make the numbers meet, so not necessarily jumping through the hoops as yet. Right?
Well, some of those processes are county processes, others are, that project and the one across the street that you mentioned, Sinclair, those are projects that inherently require community and stakeholder engagement.
Right. And sewer and water and
part of any, right.
Right, sewer capacity, water capacity, all of that stuff falls under the counties. And with this bill, you will supersede all other county zonings and rules and planning and development.
Well, so infrastructure like sewer, like water, even with HCDA, you couldn't completely exclude the counties, right? Because you can't provide your own infrastructure. It is always subject to the county. So, and I don't believe this bill would, just do away with that. The university can, speak towards sewer capacity. HCDA couldn't do that either.
Okay. Members, any other? Go ahead, Senator.
It's actually related to more comments, because I can see the value of this bill regarding Hilo, the community college campus, because the university and the county decided that the university decided we're not going to build a new campus on state land, that the decision from the board was to keep the Hilo Community College or Hawai'i Community College as is. It's located in the industrial area, and plans for the future when the university has enough CIP capital is to make improvements there. I can see the benefit of it because under the county, some of the rules, it'll be impossible to proceed expeditiously. As an example, because it's already a campus there, and if you do additions or renovations or new buildings, there's going to be some issues raised. And let me say that with the county, I remember having one of the buildings not on a university campus, but the county, one of their regulations is occupancy requirements. And so having said that, if we have an existing campus, the students are there in classes, and if the university decides to make some plans and whatever, and if they need to get the occupancy, the building is complete, sometimes the counties won't go along with an occupancy. Also, you need a clearance from fire departments, and fire departments do the actual clearance. And if you get that, but the county still stalls your project. So I can see for Big Island, for that particular campus, where it would be beneficial. Just to add that comment, I think, if I'm correct, Calvert, yeah?
Yes, but Senator, we're not actually, we would not contemplate wanting to do any development or building project that would try to get around or get out of those safety requirements.
Yeah, understand.
So anything related to like the building permits, HCDA doesn't issue permits. We're not looking that, that the counties would be completely taken out of the process. What we're looking at is this bill would just make more consistent around the development for university campuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Senator Agaran.
Yeah, so Calvert, I'm just trying to get a sense of exactly what is the issue, because, for example, on UH Maui College, it's designated in the community plans and the general plans already as quasi-public, so everything you do there should be consistent with the mission of the university, right?
Yeah, by and large for Maui College, what the plans are over there, but there are other campuses. Well, actually, at Maui College, there are some development opportunities, right, at Maui College, more so at other campuses. So those are the ones that we're actually kind of looking towards. And not all of it is, conventional, traditional college facilities, right? Classroom buildings or office buildings, administration buildings.
So
We're
it's
talking about student housing. We're talking
Sure.
about student housing development. We're talking about other infrastructure development.
so as written, once you came up with a development plan, then you would basically opt out of the zoning authority of the county then for the campus? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I think it would make it more consistent for what is the type of development that would occur at any University of Hawaii campus.
Okay, all right, thanks.
So, anybody else? So, Calvert, can you provide the committee with a more detailed as to what resources the university would need to fulfill this? What bodies, how much, what would the Board of Regents, what would it look like? Because to me, it's a little premature at this point, because it doesn't seem like it's that well thought out. And, you know, I'm not sure when you said this is only for university proper, because it says university district shall not include real property that is not held by the university or in partnership with a qualified person. And yet you go ahead and define qualified person as any individual, partnership, corporation, or public agency possessing the competence, expertise, experience, and resources. And so if the partnership owns land outside of the proper campus, would this apply?
I think what we're looking at is the opportunities to public-private partnership development on campus property.
But the way I read this, it allows it to be off campus, right?
Adjacent to the campus.
So it would be off, but it wouldn't be on campus proper, as you said
But in the
earlier.
case, so the example could be, say, Atherton, for example. It is adjacent. It's not on campus because it's separated by a road.
Right. But
But
it
it's
could,
also not university-owned. We're leasing.
so that could apply, though, to any radius around any campus, then?
It could.
Okay. Okay, you can provide that information to the committee. That would be helpful. Thank you.
Just a follow-up. So
Senator-
just a follow-up on Senator Kim's comments regarding the adjacent or connected. So in a sense, it would apply to Palamanui then in Kona, because you're doing is it still a joint development on the commercial side of the property? Is it still part of the university's development at Palamanui? Because the developer provided the campus, right? Is that what happened? It would help them.
I thought Palamanui was a DLNR
Project.
property. No, it's state-owned, considered under DLNR.
Who built the campus?
The developer built it as a entitlement.
Right,
requirement
right.
On their private property.
Okay, but Palamanui is under the university system, right?
It's not
So
campus.
Palamanui,
Oh,
that is a
commercial,
campus.
it's under the commercial college, yeah?
It's so it's a community college, it is a campus, but it's on state-owned
Right, right.
DLNR land.
Right,
I would, if this bill were to pass, I would consider this bill applicable to Palamanui,
okay,
but the development, the adjoining properties around is actually, I think we're fully encircled by DLNR land.
right.
Palamanui.
Okay. All right. I see Russell over there. You got comments, Russell, on Palamanui?
No, I was just gonna say, I know the campus, yes, is
Right.
on state and is under a lease.
Okay.
And
All
the
right.
private lands are also.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any questions from our members that's zooming in? If not, we're going to go into recess and decision-making, so if we can go into our breakout room. The joint committee between higher ed and waterland back to order. The committee has discussed this matter. We would like to recommend that this matter be deferred, held in committee for now, wait to get the information that has been requested by the university, and there are still a number of questions that we would like to have answered. And so the recommendation from the chair on higher ed is to defer the matter, and the concurrence with Chair on Waterland
Yep.
and the committee.
Team recommendation for the Waterland Committee.
Okay, thank you very much. We will, higher ed, we will continue. We have 3 more items on just higher ed alone, and we will just continue on. And so we will begin with Senate Bill 1218, relating to technology transfer at the University of Hawaii, remove the sunset provision in Act 38, Session Laws Hawaii 2017. This bill was heard last year along with the next one, and it was sent out, but because of COVID, there was a number of issues. And so our first speaker is Vasilis Sarmos, University of Hawaii. Vasilis, are you on?
I am on, Senator. Good afternoon. We are standing by our testimony in strong support of lifting the sunset date.
Okay, also Gary Kai from the Hawaii Business Roundtable in support. Is Gary online? And we have the State Ethics Commission, Daniel Gluck, with comments. Daniel, are you online? No, not online. Okay, members, any questions of Vasilis? He would love to answer any of your questions that you might have. Okay, I do have a question. So, Vasilis, last time there was some concern, especially raised by the Ways and Means Chair, and so I think the recommendation was that we would extend the sunset by 3 years. Is that something that you would be amenable to?
Yes, Senator. Actually, it was 3, and the concerns were, just for the record, the concerns were because the university had not finished the Regents' policies, executive policies, and the guidebook that we now have finished and consulted with UPA, and also we consulted with the State Ethics Commission, and that's why you saw Dan's testimony with no comments, not objecting to the bill. But an extension would be amicable to us as well.
Okay, thank you.
And to remove it, but.
Okay, and the matter has to go on to JDC anyway, so
Correct.
we'll look at that. Okay, members, any questions? Vasilis, if not, Vasilis, you're up on the next one as well. Senate Bill 1219 removes the sunset provision of Act 39 session laws. And maybe you can tell the committee the difference between the two?
Yes, Act 38 is a law that actually creates certain exemptions, not of individuals, but of activities under the tech transfer umbrella. And then Act 39 gives the university the ability to actually enter into equity agreements, into investment agreements. We can hold equity, we can actually develop our own funds and develop partnerships, like right now we have with the proposed Hawai'i high technology bridge with the Navy. So one exempts the activities, the other one gives the university explicit authority to do certain things.
Okay, any questions? And again, on this one, a similar extension will probably be the recommendation.
We're amicable with that as well.
Okay.
We'll be back, if it passes, we'll be back in 3 years.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, we will move on to the last item, Senate Bill 1222. And this measure is it's relating to the Center Revolving Fund, broadens the scope of the Conference Center Revolving Fund for the University of Hawaii at Hilo. This is also another bill that committee passed out and got caught up with the COVID. We have Kalei Raposa from the University of Hawaii. Kalei?
Good afternoon. I stand in support of the written testimony that we provided and available to answer questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, any questions of Kalei? None? Okay, thank you very much. I don't know that we need to go into the breakout room. I can make my recommendations and we can discuss it. So the recommendations would be to extend in Senate Bill 1218 and as well as 1219, put a 3-year extension on that. And for Senate Bill 1222, go ahead and pass out. I don't believe we have any we may have some substantive and technical consistency amendments. I'm sorry, yeah, just up to 1222. But past that, with those amendments. Any
What
discussion?
about dates, bid dates, or?
I think the date is upon approval, right? Yeah, well, take effect on July 1, 2021. Good? Okay. Okay, so again, for the first measure, voting on Senate Bill 1218, the chair's recommendation is to amend with a 3-year extension. Any discussion? Hearing none, chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 1218 to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Agaran.
Aye.
Senator,
How much?
Senator Wakai.
Yes.
Senator Favela.
No, sorry.
Measures adopted. 4 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, Senate Bill 1219, same recommendations to amend to have an extension, a 3-year extension. Any discussion? Hearing none, chair votes aye.
For Senate Bill 1219 to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Keith Agaran.
Aye.
Senator Wakai.
Yes.
Senator Favela.
Reservation.
Thank you. Measures adopted.
Thank you. And for Senate Bill 1222, recommendation is we amend with technical and non-substantive amendments. Any discussion? Hearing none, chair votes aye.
Senate Bill 1222 pass unamended
No, with technical and substantive amendments.
with amendments.
Yeah.
Senate Bill 1222 with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Keith Agaran.
Aye.
Senator Wakai.
Yes.
Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Thank you. Measures adopted.
Okay, and that's all the business we have for today. We are adjourned until Thursday, 3 o'clock, same time, same place.